Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emidyon James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the major headlines that we have for you today. President Tinubu says Efcc recorded 7,000 convictions, recovers 500 billion naira in 2 years. ASU to hold strategic NEC meeting as action enters week 2. Plus, Senna Takachi wins votes to become Japan's first female prime minister. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. First in the news this morning is that President Bola Tinubu has said his administration's anti-corruption drive has recorded a huge success in the last 2 years. He said the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has secured over 7,000 convictions and recovered assets worth more than 500 billion naira in the first 2 years of his administration. The president, who spoke in Abuja at the opening of a joint workshop of the EFCC and National Judicial Institute, NJI, said the recovered funds were being channeled into social investment programs such as Student Loan Scheme and the Consumer Credit Scheme. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Tinubu urged the judiciary to uphold the highest standards of integrity and impartiality in the fight against corruption. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has joined family, friends and well-wishers nationwide in celebrating former head of state General Yakubu Gowon on his 91st birthday. In a statement marking the milestone, President Tinubu praised General Gowon for his patriotism, visionary leadership and lasting contribution to Nigeria's unity, peace and development. The President also acknowledged the former military ruler's continued counsel on national matters, describing it as invaluable to the growth and stability of the country. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has directed that a new state-of-the-art auditorium be built at the Nigerian Law School to further enhance legal education infrastructure. The Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Nyesom Wike announced this in Abuja while flagging off the construction of a 600-bed student hostels at the Abuja campus of the institution in Wari. Wike explained that the President's directive followed an observation that the anticipated increase in student intake occasioned by the building of new hostels necessitated a review of the existing lecture facilities. The minister added that the intervention demonstrated President Tinubu's commitment to enhancing the nation's legal education infrastructure. Away from that, the federal government has said that it is targeting the creation of at least 20,000 jobs annually through the launch of the second phase of the Nigeria Jubilee Fellow Program, NJFB, aimed at connecting high-potential graduates with real-world work experience, training and mentorship. This was disclosed during the inauguration of the Project Steering Committee of the NJFB 2.0 by Vice President Kashim Shettima in Abuja. Shettima noted that the goal of the NJFB is to bridge the transition gap between learning and earning for thousands of young graduates with the required education but no job opportunity. He also maintained that the NJFB is a Nigerian program shaped by national priorities and a nation's sense of purpose. The VP further told members of the committee to deepen that ownership, strengthen coordination across institutions, and ensure that NJFB remains accountable to the ambitions of the administration. In the meantime, the federal government has again described allegations of a Christian genocide in Nigeria as false and malicious propaganda aimed at damaging the country's global reputation. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, who spoke in Abuja at the national unveiling of the World Public Relations Forum, stated that the claim is part of a foreign-sponsored campaign to sow division and weaken Nigeria's unity. Recall that claims of Christian genocide in Nigeria resurfaced last month after U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, during a podcast, alerted that Christians are being systematically targeted and killed, a situation is described as a genocide. Meanwhile, the federal government rejected the allegations, maintaining that insecurity in the country stems from terrorism, banditry and criminality, not religion. However, Idris has insisted that those peddling the speculation are not doing the nation any good. We move now to the Red Chambers, where the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has urged world leaders to renew their commitment to humanitarian duty and moral responsibility in confronting global suffering. Akpabio made the call during the humanitarian session of the 151st Inter-Parliamentarian Union IPU Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. In a speech he delivered on behalf of in a speech delivered on his behalf by Senator Osita Ngu, he stated that the true measure of a nation's greatness lies not in its wealth or military might, but in its compassion and dedication to protecting the vulnerable. The Senate President noted that Nigeria continues to uphold its humanitarian and constitutional obligations through the establishment of institutions such as the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, the National Emergency Management Agency, and the National Commission for Refugees and Displaced Persons. He called on global leaders to place peace above conflict, warning that war only yields generational devastation. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Army has condoled with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, over the tragic demise of Lieutenant Colonel Aliyu Baiko and other soldiers in Borno State. The chairman of the committee, Abdulaziz Yaradua, in a statement described the fallen soldiers as heroes who exemplified the highest standards of military professionalism and patriotism. The committee further assured the Nigerian Army of its continued support in ensuring the welfare and well-being of troops, stating that it will provide adequate resources and support for the Army in the quest to maintain peace and security in the nation. Let's move now to the Green Chambers, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with his Algerian counterpart, Brahim Bouhali, on areas of mutual benefit to both countries. He further seeks to establish strong parliamentary exchanges and strengthen democracy, rule of law, and other legislative interventions. Abbas signed the MOU with the Speaker of the People's National Assembly of Algeria upon his arrival in Algiers on his working visit. Recall that in August 2025, the two African states renewed their commitment to strengthening bilateral ties following a high-level diplomatic engagement between Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Youssef Tuga, and his counterpart, Ahmed Attaf. According to a statement issued by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Speaker, Musa Krishi, the MOU is signed based on historical bonds of friendship between the Algerian and Nigerian people, as well as the shared values and principles. Meanwhile, both sides reaffirmed the commitment of both Parliament to promoting democracy and the rule of law, guided by the principles and rule of international law and the Charter and Principles of African Union, with a view to promoting exchanges in the legal field and other parliamentary activities. In a separate development, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has issued a 4-week ultimatum to the federal government to conclude negotiations with all tertiary institutions-based unions. This comes as the NLC frowned at the no work, no pay policy introduced by the government as a form of sanction to members of the academic staff of universities for embarking on a nationwide strike. The president of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, made this known in Abuja, stating that when the 4 weeks elapses and the negotiation is not concluded, the organs of the National Executive Council will meet and take the action that all workers in the country will be involved. Meanwhile, the national leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, will meet today to evaluate its position on the ongoing strike by its members. The development comes after ASU disclosed that the government renegotiation team, led by Yayale Ahmed, came to the negotiation table with a documented response to the union's demands and made some offers to it. In a strike bulletin issued yesterday, the union acknowledged that progress was being recorded in certain areas, such as the release of third-party deductions, areas of promotions, mainstreaming of earned academic allowances (EAA), confiscation of University of Abuja land and victimization of its members in Kogi State University, Lagos State University and Federal University of Technology, Futu. Recall that the union had given a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government for the conclusion and implementation of the renegotiation of the 2009 federal government and ASU agreement, as well as addressing other demands of its members. We move now to Africa, where Madagascar's new head of state, Michael Randrianirina, has named Harin Salama as the civilian prime minister following a military takeover last week. Recall that Army Colonel Michael Randrianirina, who announced that the military has taken power after Rajolina was impeached for desertion of duty following weeks of protests, was sworn in as president. According to report, following consultations with the National Assembly, Randrianirina chose Harin Salama as the new prime minister. On the foreign scene, Senan Takachi has won an historic vote to become Japan's first female prime minister. The 64-year-old conservative is known as Japan's Iron Lady. Reports say this is her third attempt at becoming a Japanese leader, and she is the fourth prime minister in 5 years from her scandal-hit party, LDP. Takachi belongs to the Liberal Democratic Party hardline wing and is a protege of the late former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So on the foreign scene, parts of the White House East Wing have been demolished as construction begins on U.S. President Donald Trump's new ballroom. Construction crews have torn down massive chunks of covered entryway and windows in the East Wings, which Trump is said to be fully modernized. Recall that the president previously said that his $250 million White House ballroom addition would be near the existing structure but would not change it. Trump announced the construction in social media posts, saying ground has been broken on the much-needed ballroom space. Still to come in the news. Brentford secures 2-0 win over West Ham in Premier League match. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Spectrum News at 10. On our business news, the federal government has commenced a nationwide revenue recovery exercise aimed at boosting inflows into the Federation account and plugging financial leakages across key revenue-generating agencies. A statement signed by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, head of the Information and Public Relations Unit, Mariam Youssef, indicated that the initiative is part of efforts to enhance fiscal transparency, strengthen accountability, and ensure that all statutory revenues due to the Federation are duly remitted. In his remarks, the RMAFC chairman reaffirmed the Commission's determination to strengthen Nigeria's fiscal governance and ensure that all revenues due to the Federation are fully accounted for and remitted into the Federation's accounts. He also explained that the engagement of consultants was a strategic initiative aimed at plugging revenue leakages, enhancing transparency, and boosting the fiscal capacity of the three tiers of government in alignment with the renewed health agenda of President Bola Tinubu. In health, the Plant Treatment Oasis Association of Nigeria, a body of professional biochemists, has called on the federal government to formally integrate herbal and alternative medicine into the country's healthcare system to improve the well-being of Nigerians. Speaking with journalists after the Association 2025 conference in Abuja, the group's president, Olayemi Ikoton, said that Nigeria stands to benefit greatly from the medicinal potential of natural plant-based supplements, which, according to him, are effective in treating a wide range of health conditions without side effects. According to Ikoton, the association has invested in extensive research and the development of natural medicinal products that have proven effective in managing conditions such as fibroids, piles, and other chronic ailments. He stressed the need for the government to formally recognize and support the role of herbal treatment, particularly as a complementary option in the nation's healthcare system. Let's move now to sports, where Brentford secured a 2-0 victory over the West Ham United at the London Stadium. Matthias Jensen sealed the win in stoppage time with a composed right-footed finish after an assist from Ken the weak spotter, following a swift counter initiated by the goalkeeper. Throughout the match, Brentford looked the more composed side, dominating 57% of the possession and creating several clear-cut chances. Meanwhile, the hosts struggled to find momentum and their situation worsened when Konstantinos was forced off injury, leaving them to finish with 10 men. Despite late effort from Lucas Bekwate, West Ham could not break through Brentford's defense. Still in sport, former Super Eagles striker Victor Igbebe has said that the current team has gotten another chance to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup via the playoffs. Nigeria failed to secure automatic qualifications despite defeating Benin Republic 4-0 in the last Group C fixture. The result saw Eric Chell's men finish as one of the best runner-ups in the African zone. The Eagles will now take on Gabon in the semi-finals on Thursday, November the 13th. On entertainment news, Nollywood actress Yvonne Jegade has advised her colleague Regina Daniels to leave her marriage following allegations of domestic violence by the latter against her husband, Ned Nwoke. In a post on social media, Yvonne urged Regina Daniels to divorce her husband if the allegations of domestic violence are true. She further stressed that violence is a deal breaker regardless of the gender that is affected. She encouraged Regina to take the bold step, noting that she is still very young. Yvonne urged Regina Daniels to prioritize her sanity and her sons in whatever decision she is going to make regarding her marital crisis. And that's all we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James. Enjoy the rest of your day and thank you for watching.